we're talking about projects today. We're going to go ahead and invite Autumn and Nick up here to talk about the presentation.
So I'm going to preface this really quick what we're going to go over. This is basically what's going to make you stand out. And we have the pleasure of having Nick and Autumn from O'Reilly in there.
Oh, it's okay. That was an applause for ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, joined in. I'm like, get started.
Yeah.
Let me unfreeze it. So this actually works. So these are their names and their titles. And we'll lead in with Autumn. We're going to talk about resumes.
I'll go ahead and I want to introduce myself and have Nick introduce himself as well. So I am Autumn Rodden, I'm a technical recruiter for O'Reilly Auto Parts. I've been with the company for a little under 2 years. Started out with corporate recruiting, and they asked me if I'd be interested in technical, focusing solely on the information systems department in O'Reilly. It's a little petrified at first because my knowledge of computers is slim to none, but I've had the privilege of working with our developers. It's been a great asset to use managers, directors, and the team, and got a general understanding. And the first question I asked myself was why in the world does O'Reilly Auto Parts have an IT department? I didn't understand. I've got to recruit for it, probably figure it out. And so my goal since then has been to spread the word of why they have a great systems team. That's been my entire goal, is to build that brand, recruit and retain the team members as well. And Nick is one of our software engineers. I'd like you to introduce yourself, kind of your Missouri State. And
All right. Hi there. I'm a software engineer for O'Reilly. For my entire group, I'm basically the technical advisor. I deal with every single project we deal with. I also have had the tremendous pleasure of working with Autumn for all our recruiting needs. I've worked with her extensively over the past year, bulking up our hiring ability, making sure that we're better able to assess candidates and their skill level so that we can make sure that we can compensate them fairly and get them where they need to be and make sure they have the training they need to be successful.
So we're going to flip through some slides. Feel free at any point to ask questions or write them down. I want to make sure that we answer questions. I don't want to like 6 slides later and you forget them. I heard a few of you talking earlier about your interviews, so any questions you have about those too, just in my words out and pretty much across the companies in Springfield. So technical resumes, the first thing we're going to talk about, where other people, individuals within different programs can have a pretty similar resume, yours has got to stand out. There are quite a few students at Missouri State getting their degrees in CIS, CSC, ITSM, whatever they're getting degrees in, so you've got to stand out, and you've got to put your information in the right place for the right position. So this is just a mock resume that I found that I actually really enjoyed the layout from that we're going to use. And who is Jesse Kendall? So this is just going to talk about what you put in your resume is to explain who you are. And I did cite where that came from. So this seems pretty, I guess, self-explanatory to put your information. However, I was just at the career fair this last week, and you would believe the amount of resumes that did not put their phone number on there. I don't know if you want a job or not, but I think it's pretty important. So the key information there, like obviously the name, your address, phone number, email. The other things I really want to touch on, why people don't think to put, is your personal URL, GitHub profile, Stack Overflow profile, and LinkedIn profile that you have. It's actually pretty impressive, especially at this level, to have information provided and allow the team and managers to look over before you even get to the interview process. And sometimes it's brought up in the interview as well, from my standpoint anyway, to talk about the information that you provided. And I can also put up in that top part there. A summary. So, Cole and I kind of talked about this. I'm not a huge fan of an objective. If you're going to do it, you need to do it right. And so a summary can also be something that sums up what your cover letter said if you do choose to do one. Other titles could be a profile or a professional profile. Summary objective works too, but this is a way for you to quickly tell somebody who you are. And I put down there, ensure the information is geared towards a company, position, and job description. I don't have any resumes I've received that said, hey, I really want to work for Bass Pro. Awesome. I will send your resume over and they'll give you a call, I'm sure. You're no longer hired. So you just make sure you gear it towards, my name is Cole Lawrence. I want to work for O'Reilly Auto Parts as a software developer intern, and just a little bit about who you are. So just make sure if you do choose to use a summary objective profile, professional profile, that you gear it towards who you are applying for and why. Education, your education is probably the most important. Another thing about this layout for the resume, I like how it's put on here. A lot of you probably don't have as much professional history, experience-wise, work history-wise. So unless you have your last 2 or 3 jobs have been in internships or in a professional company, I would start with education, because the first thing we look for an internship or a software developer is that you have the degree that we're looking for in the right program. So that's why I put it so high up, and that's why I really enjoyed where this was. You want to talk about the degree, so your major and your minor. Some of you are probably minoring in mathematics and majoring in computer science. Put that on there. You know, it is important that you talk about both of those. College information, name and location. Don't make us guess. We attend probably 6 career fairs in 1 week. I have no idea where it came from. Expected graduation, month and year. So I would just set, August 2016, December 2016, whatever your graduation is. A lot of the internships are geared towards a certain demographic, so sophomores, juniors, and then we also want to know if you're getting ready to graduate soon. We want to consider you for full-time opportunity. GPA, cumulative and major. I don't care how you did in PE. I don't care how you performed in music class, and I want to know what you did in your major. So that's why I say put both, because sometimes your cumulative may not be as impressive as your major.
How important was overall GPA to show it?
Yeah, I mean, we want to see it. We do want to know, but if say that your overall GPA is 3.09, but your major is 3.47, go ahead and press that. And then what we do is we do request your transcripts upon interviewing. And we're going to go through there, we're going to see, okay, well, he did get a C in PE, but he got straight A's in all his computer science courses.
Okay.
So we're going to see with that.
Take that into it. Okay.
Yeah. Scholarships and awards. So if you have received a scholarship, if you received any awards, dean's list that on there. It is impressive, and it is good to see. I think one thing I saw on Full Resume that was actually thoroughly impressive and would have never thought was how he performed on the ACT. Those are pretty good. If you're younger, or I guess not younger, what's that? You're within your first couple of years, just to see that. Certificates and diplomas, so any certificates goes towards security, networking, any minor diplomas that you may have received through your education, also list those at this point. Projects, and again, I put this above work history because some of you may have more projects that you've worked on that you might not have as much education, and it's really good to go in depth about those. So these can be personal projects, so go back to Stack Overflow or GitHub, any information you've done there, provide the name of it, where it was at, when it was. Something also really unique about Full Resume is the amount of hours you spent working on those projects. Professional projects, so this could be through your work history, which you will then preface later about. So you did an internship at O'Reilly, and then you talk about the project up there and you list it in your work history. Class and group projects, so some people may not have any professional experience at all, and you do a group project that's 4 of you work on it together, you were the main software developer for it, you want to list those too. And then collaborative works and projects, so these could be individual, the NCC, ACM, the AITP Region 4 conference, those are things that you want to talk about at this point too. And then history, this is going to be your work history. This is where you may have done summer internships, you may have done full-time jobs. Do not list more than 3 positions. That might not be an issue right now, but as you grow and grow your resume, you could have 4 or 5 jobs that you feel are really important, just limit it down to 3. And you want to list them for the most recent to the oldest, but you want to make sure to not leave gaps in there. If you do leave gaps, make sure to explain why there's gaps. So you could say, I did hold this opportunity here, but I felt like this was more relevant. So for some of you, you may have been a lifeguard over the summer and did an internship at one point. And so you may just show that you were a lifeguard at that time and then your internship as well. And make sure to list both of those. You want to talk about the company name, so where you did the job or project or the internship at, your title there. So if you were an intern, because sometimes people worry about the loyalty, either to stay with the company when you only were there from May to August 2015. Say it was an internship, or say that it was contract work, was it part-time, was it full-time? And 3 or 4 bullet points listing your duties and your experience. And make sure to use power adjectives. I know that sounds silly, and you've probably heard it quite often, but just make yourself sound amazing, because you are. And just make sure that it's unique too, and it explains who you are. Skills, so I have seen resumes come through that the entire top half were acronyms. I know for a fact that you've not touched or used that many acronyms in the last 5 years. You may have known somebody that did it at one point in time, saw it in a book, and you put it on there. The reason why I say what you're going to list here, you can call it different things. So technical abilities, skills, experience, proficiencies, key skills and competencies. So I say here, do not list skills that you have not utilized in the last 5 years or could not discuss in a technical interview in depth. And Nick will explain that a little bit, but you will get asked, so what was your experience with JavaScript? What did you do with it? And if you cannot talk about it, probably should put it on there. Additional sections that were not on here that I also saw on polls and I've seen before that I feel like are important are leadership experience, extracurricular activities, so you are part of the ACM, or whether you are on the board, you're a member, list that, and it will be talked about, and talk about what your involvement is with them, the name of organization, any volunteer work you do, networking groups, so a few different groups that locally you get involved in is MATA, the American Technology Alliance, they do the E-Factory, every third Thursday. There's the Tech It Out Career Fair was just a couple of weeks ago. It's an amazing career fair to attend, different sessions that you get to sit in and you get the education part of that. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank for the other ones. But we have Springfield Creatives here locally that you want to be involved in. These are ways to network and to meet other professionals and really get your name out there. They're going to start seeing you, remember you, know who you are, and then by the time you graduate and ready for a career, you get to have your choice of what job you would like. You want to name the organization, the title that you held, and the years that you attended. Achievements and highlights. These could be personal or professional achievements, work or projects, or special acknowledgments in your work as well. You want to talk about the title of the project, personal work, the achievement that you received, the locations, the company, website, and years completed. The next part is going to be the interview. Any questions about the resume section before we go forward? Yes.
I'll ask just because I'm curious. Is there any benefit to putting on like a QR code or some sort of hot link, kind of thing?
And so I've seen those before, and they are fun. A lot of marketing resumes have those. But you have to remember that they're going to have to do that from your personal phone, so they're probably not going to use the QR code. But I mean, it's definitely unique, and if it takes you to that wherever site takes you to, you probably want to list that site too. And put that on there. Yeah.
What kind of resumes have you encountered that have more than one page? Like, in general?
When do you want to do more than one page?
Yeah, is that common or?
Yeah,
common?
especially I would say more than 2 pages is just getting a little unnecessary. You have 10 to 15 seconds to catch that recruiter's attention, or you're done. And if yours is 7, 8 pages long, there's a really good chance it's going in the trash can. There's not a time of the day to look through. I can't imagine you've done that many things that you want to list and talk about in depth. So I would say no more than 2 pages, and make sure all the information on there is relevant. Yeah.
Think of your resume like the beginning of a conversation. And if you've ever read a book and you got to the end and you were bored, would you seek out more of that same author? Probably not. But if you got to the end and you were like, hey, I'm not satisfied, I want to know more, I mean, that's kind of like your resume. It's like a weird online dating profile, but instead of trying to land a significant other, you're trying to land a job. And so I like to think of it as put enough information that gives me questions for you. And so I've seen some contractors, when you do contract work, they give us their resumes, and they might iterate out, I might get a half a page per job that they've done, and I don't need that. I need things that give me examples to hear it from in your own words, from your own mouth, and I would say, not to sweat it so much as brevity is a beautiful thing.
And I'll kind of go back on that too. At the very beginning, I said gear your resume towards who you are applying with. So if you are applying for a UI UX front-end developer and you have a position that was focused solely towards that, elaborate on that section quite a bit. Make that section maybe a little bit longer, show how you're qualified for the position, but like Nick said, don't do an entire paragraph about what you did there. Any other questions? So the interview. And going back on the dating thing, so I know it's funny because HR was supposed to talk about that, but
we're all cool here.
Yeah, super cool. Interviewing is similar to a dating, and you're going to get asked questions, they're going to get to know you. The first thing I tell everybody, regardless if it's technical one, know what they can and can't ask you. Be prepared when you go in to the interview part. What is the point of an interview? This is a chance for us to get to know you and you to tell us who you are, and also a chance for you to ask questions and get to know that company. Is this a company that you want to be a part of? Do you fit, and is this where you see yourself in the future? So it's not just for the recruiter or the department to decide if you're a good fit for them, but it's your chance to ask questions. So there are two types. There's personal and technical. Personal is also the HR interview, and then the technical, and Nick will definitely talk a little bit about how he tortures poor innocent souls that come in and leave crying.
It's only happened once.
So I'll give you twice actually. I will give you kind of a little general overlay of how it works. You submit your resume to us. We're going to contact you initial phone screening. We're going to request your transcripts and any information that you would like to provide to us. Have you come in and do some testing? We do 2 forms of it since you guys are local. It is a fun little Scantron. It's a little bit longer than we would like, but it does help us decide an individual how to perform. And we take into regard your resume, your test scores, and your transcripts. At that point, if you are able to move forward, there's an HR interview, which is going to be the personal side of it. This is my chance to get to know you. Do you fit into the company from a culture perspective? Do you have the general skills that the company is looking for, or the department is looking for? It's also a chance to ask you questions and find out how you're able to communicate, where you see yourself in the future. What do you know about the company? So they're just going to ask questions, and then I go in depth and I will look at your resume and I'll ask you questions about what you have listed. So be prepared to talk about your projects. Be prepared to talk about your education. I think one of the first questions I ask is, why did you choose computer science? And all of a sudden you're going, why are you asking me that? I want to know, where's your passion? Why do you see yourself in this field, and what do you see yourself doing in the future with it? So there's really going to get to know you from a personal aspect as much as possible. Any questions on the HR side before I turn it over to Nick? What to expect in the HR interview?
Real fast, take the sides out.
Okay, very good. So, technical. Nick's going to talk about that. So once you get past the HR side of things, we're going to...
Yeah, don't worry about it.
So once you get past the HR, if you get past all of the first steps and do well, you'll move on to a technical interview. So this is a department interview. This is meeting with the individual that you could potentially work with. At times there might be 1 or 2 people in that interview. There might be 6 or 7. So you have to be ready to talk and take fire from different angles on their information in a little bit more in depth. So I'll let Nick kind of talk about what their process looks like.
So I kind of cover it from the other angle. So Autumn screens them, make sure they're not a serial killer, and then my process kicks in. So while Autumn is looking at things to make sure that, honestly, you're applying for the right job, so you didn't realize you were not applying to be a secretary.